Welcome one, welcome all. Yes, it's the 42nd edition of the show. Hard to believe we've got there. Hello, Simon. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Rich?
Looking resplendent. Yeah, I'm feeling good. Bored out of my mind, but that's to be expected. Now, it may not mean a great deal to you, dear viewer, but 42. This is the 42nd edition of the show, is apparently the answer to the ultimate question, the meaning of life. Well, it is according to Douglas Adams, the author of that classic sci-fi novel, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Universe. At the end of the book, you find out that the answer to the ultimate question of life, the universe, and everything is simply the number 42. And that's that. The characters in the book all go their separate ways. And life goes on despite the fact that everyone now knows the meaning of life is just 42. And that's it. It doesn't really mean anything else. This week, the program doesn't promise to give you the answer to the meaning of life, but we will give you a few answers that make your life slightly more easier and definitely leave you smiling. This week, we have a classic 1990s Jack Shed in our classic car selection, and a rather rare beast, I may add. We also have all the fake news that ain't fit to print. Fake news in the news. And I'll be taking you down a dark little travelled road called Lost Highways as we try and find out the ultimate driving roads. Now, a man who likes loitering down similar dark alleyways, as his recent court case will attest, joins me all the way from sunny North London.
Thanks for that, Rich. Yeah, I've been told by the judge to keep a 2-meter distance at all times, and that was before the coronavirus.
Oh, yes.
Incidentally, 42, wasn't that level 42? Isn't that how they got their name?
Really?
Meaning of life.
What a great band. The only bass player to play a bass this high. I believe it was, I think it was this high that he played the bass.
He did, Mark King. Yes, this week it's going to be a great show. We're answering all your questions and queries in the mailbag. As per usual, it is overflowing, and I shall be hosting a very entertaining visual quiz, now that we've got visuals, entitled Up on Jacks.
Oh, I can hardly wait. I've just thought about level 42. I once interviewed Mark King.
Really?
Yeah, all the way from, I was at a radio station in the Midlands, and he was in the Isle of Wight. And we did it on ISDN, so it sounded like in the studio. And I told him to lie and pretend that he'd been in Stratford all day, and he was live in the studio with me. And he said, yes, that's fine. That was about 20 years ago. What a lovely man.
He insured his thumb for £1 million as well.
Really?
Yes, he did. So anyway, just sit back, relax, make sure you've got your hands full of hand sanitizer and a hazmat suit, and enjoy this week's show. I'm Simon Sujuan, and my milkshake brings all the boys to the yard. I'm not going to sing it. And they're like,
please.
It's better than yours. Damn right, it's better than yours. I'll teach you, but I have to charge.
Yeah, Simon Sujuan there reminiscing about his days as a waiter in the local burger joint of Wimpy. He wore the hat so well. And I'm Richard Green, and you need my love baby oh so bad. You're the only one I've ever had. And if I say I want to set you free, don't you know you'll be in misery? They call me Dr. Love. They call me Dr. Love, calling Dr. Love. I've got the cure you're thinking of, calling Dr. Love. That's me reminiscing about my early years as a resident doctor in the local sexual health clinic. Also a song by Kiss. This is Car-Boyz. Once again, yes. Now, if you're of a certain age, you'll remember the terrible old BBC programme Points of View, where listeners would phone or write in and leave complaints about some god-awful BBC programme. Yeah, well, it was all orchestrated not to show the BBC, or as we call it over here in the UK, the expensive state broadcaster as imagined in George Orwell's 1984, in a bad light, but rather an elderly uncle or auntie who occasionally makes the odd broadcasting mistake. That was the Points of View. But in reality, waste billions on state propaganda disguised as entertainment. I digress. There was always a person, you may remember, who wrote into the Points of View show with a strange candescence, as if, heaven forbid, it was actually the writings of a BBC producer. Heaven forfend, even. The letter would always start, "Dear BBC points of view. Why, oh, why, oh, why? And then it would degenerate into some rambling about them moving the cricket coverage on BBC Two to 6 p.m. or something, rather than actually tackling an issue of what a huge and terrible behemoth the BBC actually is. I should know, I've worked for them. No, these letters were always written by some imagined Middle England chap who had an axe to grind. He was painted as a reactionary, straight-laced sort of chap who wanted things to go on as they had. He was a man who feared change and longed for the old days, but, and this is the most important thing of all, could just be pooh-poohed by the viewer as a bit of a doddering old fool who needs to be ignored. Now, what I'm trying to achieve here in my rant this week on Car-Boyz is not for you to just ignore my ramblings and carry on with your day-to-day, but begin to question things, question authority, question why you do certain things. The reason I'm prefacing my rant in this way is I do not want you to see me as the points of view guy who starts every letter he writes to the BBC with why, oh, why, oh, why, because then you know what's coming. And then you know how to react. No, my rant this week is merely to get you to question your actions. We all get up in the morning, we all go to work or college, we all pay our bills. Well, normally, outside of coronavirus, we act like good citizens and we try and get on with our lives. But we're in the middle of a global pandemic, as if you hadn't noticed. We're calling it Cortina 19 here on the show, we all talk about cars. And this has got me thinking, we're not all getting up in the morning. We're not going to work or school. Well, not most of us. We're not all living normal lives. We're all locked down, staying at home, going outside for exercise or to buy food. So can you please tell me why then I'm not getting a rebate from my car insurance company? My family owned 2 cars, one of which has been sitting on my driveway for almost 2 months, not moving, not travelling, not doing up to 10,000 miles a year, not being parked down a dodgy side street. In fact, from what I'm hearing, car accidents are down, car theft is down, and almost certainly the wear and the tear on my car and the risk of it being involved in an accident is absolute zero. So I ask you, dear viewer, when the heck are the insurance companies going to give me my money back? Money for a service I'm not actually using. Not because I don't want to, just because I'm not allowed to. No more trips to Cornwall, no more visits to grandparents, school runs, after school football. In fact, my family are down to 1 car that literally takes me from home to work as a journo and then once a week to the supermarket. Maybe I cover 80 miles in total. But that's it really. My other car just gathers dust underneath the car cover. So when you go to renew your car insurance this year, ask the company, when's the money coming back that they saved insuring a car that just sat motionless on their driveway for a month or 2 or 3 or potentially 6? Any thoughts, Simon?
I don't know if you saw 2 weeks ago, there was one UK car insurer who gave their customers £25.
Would this be the company, yes, that's named after a rear admiral?
Yes.
It's the sailing car company, I think founded by Rear Admiral Lord Nelson, yes, in 1876. Yes, I thought 25 quid's a bit blooming paltry, especially if you're 17 and you're spending 1,500 quid a year on third-party fire and theft. That
but then, how much is your insurance roughly a year?
Oh, incredibly low because I'm very old. And I've had car insurance. I'm over 25 years. I've never had an accident. So I've got nearly a 3-litre car and that cost me 320 fully comp with I think 50 quid or 75 pound third party excess. That's it. So I agree. It's incredibly low. But for a car that just sits on a driveway and does nothing, it's really low. So it's whether I go down the route of thinking, I mean, in America, people are getting rebates. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. The Yanks know how to do it. People are getting rebates. They are not driving their cars. There are hardly any accidents. I think there has been an increase in people going nuts driving around because, well, certainly for us here in London, there's absolutely nothing. There is no cars on the road. I go to work and it takes a journey that would take me an hour is taking me 20 minutes.
Yes, there was talk of some people doing 100 and something in 40-mile-an-hour zones.
As Barry Norman
That's
used to say, and why
and why
not?
not?
Well, you don't need to worry about school crossings, really, do you, or anything like that at the moment? But
Mm,
it is a question we have to ask, because I'm sitting there thinking, well, this is a service I go, believe it or not, I do go regularly to a gym. And my gym just wrote to me and said, we're freezing your membership.
yeah.
We're not charging you the childcare that my kids have after school. They've said, we're freezing that. You don't have to pay us.
Mm,
I mean, I want it to be there when this ends. I really want them to be there, because I'm going to be knackered if we don't have any childcare. And
mm.
so that sounds quite fair. My dad's golf club are being complete gits. They're trying to get the money out of everybody, and everybody's going, "We're not paying you.
Yeah.
If I can't go and do 18 holes." In my dad's case, 5 times a week, then sod you. I'm not bloody paying a penny. So
Too
yeah,
right.
it is interesting times. I think insurance companies really, and likewise, not just me being a tight git, which I actually am. Maybe your house insurance should be going up, because
Mm,
you're spending all the time in your house.
yes.
And so that's interesting. But I think car companies, pull your finger out, boys, and start giving us some rebates. Certainly
Mm,
rebates for renewal next year. Shall we have some news music?
we should, yes.
Here it comes.
Get the band in. And first off, this week in Like a Scolded Cat off a Hot Tin Roof News, Ford have released images. Oh, hello.
Sorry.
We had
Operator error.
a pitch invader.
Yeah.
Ford have released images of its first factory-developed EV dragster prototype this week, confirming the Cobra 1400 or 1400. It produces a massive, yes, you've guessed it, 1400 horsepower. It comes ahead of the showroom arrival of America's first the firm's first all-electric Mustang Mach-E SUV, which is due to be priced at $40,270 here in the UK. The entry-spec family wagon promises the target range of 280 miles from its 76 kilowatt an hour battery,
Wow.
and puts out 256 bhp. The pricier extended range version is a £9,730 premium, which pays for 99 kilowatt an hour battery pack for the 370 mile quoted range, and the power output of 281 bhp. That's a fifth of the range, but super green jet 1400 dragster. It is a mean looking vehicle. The one-off creation by Ford, called the Mustang Cobra Jet 1400, is capable of hitting top speed of 170 miles an hour and completing a quarter-mile sprint in a mere 8 seconds, which is not too bad. Oh,
Wow.
band's
Sorry.
coming back in.
Yeah, they were trying.
Generating incredible performance figures of this highly tuned EV is a single but relatively massive electric motor mounted to the front, being juiced by batteries. However, how the batteries and the capacity is currently being, how many batteries and the capacity is currently being kept under wraps. As the image shows, it's quite a beast.
It looks good.
It has a range of, it's a range of a battery pack, which we know it could be good for 1 or 2 sprints before the dragster needs to be plugged into the mains.
Right. Okay. So it's not that good a battery. You might need an extension lead with this thing.
Yes, just a bit of flex. And
Looks
connect it to the
sexy.
main. It puts up a massive 1,500 newton meters of torque, which, being electric, is pretty much entirely available instantaneously at a dab of the throttle pedal.
It's the first electric. I mean, we know that electric cars are incredibly fast. It's all or nothing.
Yes.
All about the torque. I mean, you just got to think like your old school Scalextric kit when you were a kid. All or nothing. And this is the first one I've actually seen as I would call a muscle car.
And it actually looks like a muscle car.
Yeah.
It's not huge.
It doesn't look like an eco-friendly. That looks like a car I would definitely drive, albeit 500 yards until I needed to plug it in again and recharge it.
Yep.
Yes, so that's the new the new Mustang, which we love.
We do.
And moving on to, and I smell old leather and 4-star news, the greatest cars ever produced by British factories. What are they? It's a hot debate, usually battled out by enthusiasts with their own classics parked in the garage. Recently discussed was a top 10 poll carried out by classic car owners who were asked to vote for their top choice British model. The E-Type Jag, strangely enough, came out at top of the poll. While E-Type's win comes as little surprise, the Mini was down to third place, which we are surprised about.
That is a
British
surprise.
newspaper, the Daily Mail, did a poll of 2,000 readers and to find out their top 10 British cars of all time. So here we go, the top 10 British cars of all time. Straight in at number 10, it's the cat that roared. It's the classic from Le Mans. It's the Jaguar D-Type. Moving on to number 9, it's the original mud plugger. Okay, let's forget the Willys cheap. It's the Land Rover Series 1 90-inch. After all, ladies, who needs more than 90 inches? Coming to number 8, the inspiration for a generation of small Japanese sports cars. This was the original. It was a ladies' car, but designed by a man, Colin Chapman. It's the Mark I Lotus Elan. Now featured in the movie Ford versus Ferrari, it's the blue-collar Italian supercar slayer of Le Mans. It's the Ford GT40 that takes the hot spot at number 7, and decidedly and rightly so. Moving on to 6, dominating 6, a post-war classic straight out of Coventry and driven by both Clark Gable and Clint Eastwood, the Jaguar XK120. What a beauty. Halfway through, still halfway to go in our top 10 classic British sports cars of all time. Aston Martin was a nobody until the arrival of David Brown, and he comes in at number 5, taking a prime parking spot. The lightweight upstart to the DB4, the DB4 GT. Birmingham's finest retains another place at number 4. If you were a secret agent, this would get you pussy galore. It also has a license to kill. The original 007 machine, the Aston Martin DB5. What an absolute gorgeous car that is. Designed by a Greek and driven by everyone from the Beatles to Twiggy. It's the car that put the swing into the 60s. It's the Morris Mini at number 3. And you can probably see the winner of last week's competition on Car-Boyz here, driving it on his way to his 3-week Corona cruise around the Mediterranean. I think those are his personal chefs. Climbing to number 2, Leslie Phillips and Terry Thomas must certainly have driven one of these. It's a cad's car for the absolute bounder. Yes, the Austin Healey 3000. What a beaut. I think known in America as purely the Austin Healey. And number 1 of all time, back down to Browns Lane in Coventry for a car that Enzo Ferrari said was the most beautiful sports car in the world. And number 1 this week, and of all time, the Jaguar E-Type. And that's your top 10 British cars of all time here on Car-Boyz.
Quite controversial, though.
Quite controversial. And excuse me, I need to take a little break there because I was turning into Alan Freeman of Radio 1 fame circa 1978. Not off. There he is, down a 1 in a 2. I think that is a really controversial survey.
Yeah.
Firstly, two Astons, the DB4 and the DB5. Now, I'm not an Aston fan because I have no money, but there ain't much difference between that and that.
Yeah.
Very little difference between those two cars. You stick Sean Connery next to it, and to be honest, I can't tell the difference whether that car would get me pushy galore or whether that car would get me pushy galore. I'd be certainly careful not to eat my pasty on the front sheet. Yes. So
it's cars built in Britain, so that's why
classic British cars. Yes. So Aston Martin's has got 2 spaces, which I'm surprised about. Not surprised about the Mini, obviously, absolute classic icon. I'm really pleased that number 2 was the Austin Healey 3000 because it is a fantastic car. I think it was just the Healey in America. Not many got sold over there, but that's like the pinnacle of 2-seater British sports cars. No MG. Abingdon's finest didn't make the MG BGT, which my grandfather had, the MGTD, which I've just watched in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Roman Polanski, or the character that plays Roman Polanski, drives an MGB-TD, I think. And also, the Jaguar XK120 is an absolute beautiful car. It features in, I think Clint Eastwood drives one in Play Misty for me. I mean, those things now I think are 70, 80 grand a pop.
But then you're missing the likes of, there's no Rover SD1 in there,
No.
which I would rank quite highly.
I think this is
Stag.
Jaguar Mark II. Let's not forget the as driven by Morse, and of course the ultimate gangster's car.
Absolutely.
My great uncle had one, and my dad said he picked it. My dad was about 16. It was like 1960 or something. He picked my dad up playing foot. My dad was playing school football, and he turned up in a Jaguar Mark II, and all the kids were like, "Your dad's got the coolest car." He said, "Oh, it's my uncle." He said, "Yeah, still got the coolest car in the world, the Jaguar Mark II." So yeah, and you're right, more modern classics, because I mean the Rover SD1, it's 40 years old, so these things are classics. So obviously, whoever they asked decided on those cars.
Clearly, Daily Mail readers.
Well, and the less said about them, the better. I love this guy though driving this Mini. It wasn't the original Cooper we used, but I had to use this photo because he does look so much like yourself.
He looks so happy.
He looks very happy. He's eating a pasty on the front sheet, I think.
And the thing is, he really is that tall. His head sticks out that far.
Really, just like yourself. I always find myself, coming up very short when standing next to you. So there you go. Have we got some more news? We
have. We've got some Cortina 19 news. Toyota has become the first mainstream manufacturer to launch an all-new model during the time of the coronavirus pandemic. The Japanese brand has today revealed a funky new high-riding dinky hybrid SUV called the Yaris Cross. I'm assuming because it's like a Yaris crossbreed. It is due to go head-to-head with the likes of the Ford Puma and the Nissan Juke. It makes you puke. The news of the new model comes as the UK car dealers were told that they can sell motors to customers as well as deliver them, as long as the government's strict guidelines of social distances is being upheld. Okay. New car showrooms were forced to close temporarily from 23rd March to when Prime Minister Boris Johnson, remember him, announced the shutdown of the non-essential businesses to prevent the spread of the killer virus. Dealerships were forced to close their doors to customers and ship in their operations online, but with no clear message from the government about whether they could sell or deliver cars to deliver through the lockdown. Last week, the Department for Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy offered some relief to the motor industry by confirming dealerships can still remotely sell cars and adhere to social distancing rules, deliver them to customers. So I went past the dealership yesterday on my government-sponsored hour-long walk, and
yes,
I was surprised at where all the cars had disappeared. So there was no cars in the forecourt, no cars in the back lot. Don't know where they went.
I'm taking one of my cars in, so my garage is still working. So I've got problems. I think we've left the handbrake on too long on the back, and it just hasn't moved, and I've got a little squeaking. So I think the brake shoes need adjusting. Or I think so. The brake pads probably need adjusting on that. So they are working. My local garage, the real local one to me, still got cars for sale on the forecourt.
No, okay.
Yeah, so I think we're looking at now, we've been told yesterday it's going to be like probably the end of May, beginning of June, before things can get up and running. Good news for Honda. I'm not sure I like this. It's a bit, I don't know. What's the point? I mean, can the ladies really get all the stuff they need for their mobile hairdressing service in the back of this? That's what that says to me.
In the colour of baby diarrhea as well.
Oh, it is, isn't it? If that was on a sports car, I might go for that colour. I do like a bit of gold, but I just think that's just going to be a pile of pants. Anywho, finally, in Italian stallion news, Ferrari restarts production following the coronavirus outbreak. New images show what appear to be a drop-top version of the new SF90 Stradale hypercar testing in Maranello. The car seen here wears extensive camouflage. They've chucked a couple of bin bags over it, haven't they? Telltale clues to its SF90 underpinnings are the cab forward stance, C-shaped headlights, and centrally mounted tailpipes. This looks like it's been in an accident.
Looks like it's got a hazmat suit on.
It does actually. It's really scared. I don't want to catch. I don't want to catch the corona. That means, hey, Chico, go for the face. That means underneath all the camouflage there will be a 986 brake horsepower hybrid powertrain that combines Ferrari's trademark twin turbocharged V8 with a trio of electric motors for the windows. No, for the four-wheel drive and a 62 mile an hour time of, wait for it, 2.5 seconds.
No way.
This will be the most powerful production convertible on sale, and Ferrari's most powerful production convertible to date. As is with the case with all convertibles, this Spider likely to incur a slightly lower performance as a result of the roof mechanism. So 0 to 60 is around 2.6, so it's 0.1 of a second. Yeah, who cares? Oh, yeah, really, that really worried me as I go to Tesco. On a top speed of around 210 miles an hour, it should be able to cover. Wait, now this is the killer, and this is the reason we're thinking hybrids are complete bullshit. Is 16 miles on electric power alone. That's all you're going to be doing. And electric power will only take you up to 84 miles an hour.
We had this last week, wasn't we, talking about the McLaren?
Yes.
With a similar range of about 16 miles, which is absolutely nothing.
Are we talking tokenism? I think we are, aren't we?
Yes. So it's a hybrid, but it's not a hybrid.
Yeah, when is a hybrid not a hybrid? Well, when basically have a small. I mean, if I go and take my old Ford Escort and I put a little electric motor in that runs off a D-cell battery or a AA, is that a hybrid? Can I get some? Oh, I'm being really eco-friendly, but still the car does 10 mpg. I mean, this car is not going to be doing 40 mpg, is it? Let's face it.
Not with that hazmat suit on.
No, certainly not with that. Well, at least it'll be free from corona. Right, that's it for the news this week. Shall we have some classic car selection?
Yes, looking forward to it.
The band about to strike up. Here they come. Here they come. I'll put my T-shirt on this, but I've got a new Miles Davis T-shirt as well. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, kid. Nice. Hey. Okay. Thanks, Miles. Lovely.
My T-shirt's Roger Taylor.
Either that or Santa Claus. Mind you, hard to tell the difference between the two these days. It's time now on Car-Boyz for our classic Roger Taylor. I love it. Let's have a look. Have a look. Stand up again. Let's have a good old Harold Shipman.
No, it's Roger Taylor.
It's Harold Shipman, everybody's favourite murderer. Now, Harold Shipman would be quite handy currently, wouldn't he, in this coronavirus? Mind you, death numbers might be up a bit. Time now on Car-Boyz for our classic car selections, where we take a look at a future classic vehicle that's been forgotten by time and resurrect it to its former glory. It's our diamond in the rough, so to speak. We polish it up and we make it good. This week, we're turning the clock back to the 1990s and a monster rice burner, I don't think that's racist, from the land of the rising sun. The Lexus Sora was launched under the moniker of Toyota parent company in Japan in 1981 as the Z10 series. Reinvented, in 1986. I'm going to get rid of that. I'll bring it back in a minute. Reinvented in 1986, it was boxy and never intended for export outside Japan. But the model really came to be an underappreciated classic back in 1991. Reinvented as the 2000 Lexus SC, aka the Sora. Now, this has become a drifting icon that's only really appreciated by those in the know. Along with a sleek coupe body, classic long hood, short deck profile, the SC400 came to be powered by the same velvety smooth 4-litre 1UZF FEV8, I think that's how you say it, from the LS400 by Lexus. It made 250 horsepower, which was quite competitive for the era, and was seen as a personal luxury GT coupe for the man who earned everything, or the recently divorced dad. It may have been a comfortable GT coupe, but it wasn't designed to be hard-edged. It's not a hard-edged sports car, but the SC was built from great bones. In fact, it shared most of its underpinnings with the aforementioned Mark IV Supra, which hit the market a short time later. While the SC Sora earned rave reviews for its attractive styling, great build quality, and what would prove to be very reliability. The car truly became into its own later on when second-hand models found themselves into the hands of enthusiasts, especially here in the UK, as part of the Japanese grey export market. Now, the Supra's popularity already established, many rightfully saw the SC as less hyped and much more expensive version of the aforementioned Supra. With its higher weight and luxury options, the SC and Sora were never going to be the best choice for as a track weapon, but thanks to its long wheelbase, affordable price, and abundant aftermarket support, they became popular, strangely, with drifters. Now, what to look for? We'll take a quick look at the example of the car here. It's not the best view, it's the arse end of it. But when you're buying one of these, they're 20 to 30 years old now. So check for rust, check for blue smoke coming out of the rear, knocking noises from the engine. It's the usual stuff. Also, many of these were bought by boy racers back in the day. So check it hasn't been ragged around the B&Q car park doing donuts and handbrake turns. That being said, Toyota engine and body, these things were built to last 500,000 miles, as long as it's been serviced regularly. But the good news is that these things were never exported to the UK. So if you're looking at a Japanese grey import, now with this in mind, many of these have been looked after properly, and it's worth getting the translated version of the service records. They'll come in Japanese, and try and get a translated version of that to make sure the thing hasn't been written off. We found, and this is now wait for it, a 1993 model, 100k on the clock, immaculate bodywork and engine, full service history, 4 owners, and I'm sorry about this, a blue velour interior. Right?
Yeah.
3,400.
Wow.
Auto box.
Yeah.
So it would appear that it's the time to be buying these 90s classics. So why not say, hi, and arigato to the Lexus Sora and enjoy luxury GT motoring for pennies.
So it's 4-litre engine in that.
That's going to cost you a bit to insure if you're a youngster. It's going to cost you quite a bit to keep it on the road. The petrol's going to be there's going to be a lot of fuel. I imagine the insurance is going to be quite hefty. But
what a car.
A heck of a car. Now, the reason I mention this is I'm where I'm working in West London at the moment. We've got it's on an industrial estate, and I'm very bored. In my lunch hours, I'm going running around the industrial estate as I'm not allowed to go out anywhere else. And I keep passing this white Sora, and I was like, I wonder how much one of those is. So less than £4,000, and I would say the huge boot on it. You could use that as a daily driver.
Yep. Get your golf clubs in there.
Get your golf clubs in there, get your kids in the back, you get your stuff in the back. Cheap car, it's all Honda. All you got to do is get it serviced every year, every 10,000 miles, new oil, new tyres, all the consumables on it. And because it's a Honda, you can get the bits for it relatively cheaply. If you can find one that hasn't been ragged. So maybe go and look at a specialist. So that's my classic car this week. Time now on the show, I believe, to take a wander down some lost highways. Oh, I wasn't expecting that.
On a horse.
Oh,
ha, ha.
All right, enough of that.
Band building up their part again.
They were very good. They're very cheap. They're still very cheap. They're going through heroin withdrawal at the moment because it's very difficult to get them heroin in the current set of circumstances.
Obviously. Now, if you've not heard the show before, where have you been? But this is our feature. This is our feature where the listeners email us in, and we'll give you all the details in a bit and give us their favourite roads and the reasons why they love them. It could be a quiet coastal road that leads down to the sea. Alternatively, it could be a straight 2-lane blacktop that leads to infinity. Invites you to gun the pedal to the metal. Whatever your poison is, let us know your perfect driving road here at Car-Boyz. So if you want to get in touch with us, what's the email address?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I was drifting off there. It wasn't your script because I wrote it. Hang on a second. It's Car-Boys. It definitely is Car-Boys. You can prove I'm really prepared for the show this week. Car-Boys. Boys always with a Z at outlook.com. Car-Boys. Boys always with a Z at outlook.com. Facebook, we are Car-Boys at Car-Boys with 4 Zs at the end. Car-Boys, boys with a Z, at Car-Boys, 4 Zs at the end. Twitter, we're Car-Boys at Car_Boys with a Z. And I believe we're Instagramming as well.
We're Instagramming. It's car_boys with 3 Zs at the end. First up this week, Ehab, I hope I got that right, writes in from the show from Amman in Jordan and says, he says one of the best driving roads in the world is in his home country, and it's not a road at all. That's what we like to hear.
Nice.
He advises us to check out the Wadi Rum Desert, I think that's right, and go off-roading.
Let's 4x4. Is that what he's suggesting?
Yes. Spanning over 285 square miles, the Wadi Rum offers endless adventures, but you'll need a truck or a jeep to go off-road and get deeper into the desert. You won't find many road signs or trail markers out here, so it's best to book a local guide who is familiar with the area while cruising through the desert in an open-air jeep is great fun. Don't forget to get out and wander around by foot to gain a better feel of the desert and the people, plants, and animals living here. Ask our specialist which routes are best suited for you, depending on your time, interest, and skill levels. Now, helpfully, Ahab has some tips for us for driving in Jordan, as opposed to driving with Jordan.
Oh, as opposed to having sex with Jordan. That's Wadi Rum. It's all gone pear-shaped now. It was seamless until that moment.
Forgive Rich, he's been teaching today.
Yes, that's Wadi Rum. Looks nice, doesn't it?
Strange camels.
Yeah. The sort of square ones.
So Ahab has given some tips. He says, fuel up. While many of the drives in Jordan are lovely, they can also be quite deserted. Don't wait to seek out a store when you're starving or low in gas, because the closest one can be many, many miles away. Be sure to fuel up your car and carry plenty of food and water with you just in case. Number 2, he says, stay alert. Drivers tend to be aggressive and the road conditions can be rough, so it's important to be alert at all times. Tip number 3, use GPS. Some roads have multiple names and some have no name at all. Some roads have signs and others don't. So use GPS for navigation and have a current map for backup in case the GPS doesn't work. Oh, that looks lovely. Oh, and then there's a camel as well.
There's a camel, yes.
Tip number 4, drive by day, rest by night. That is the rule. Not all roads have street lights, so it's best to drive during the day. Besides, what's the point of taking the scenic route if you can't enjoy the scenery? So, I think, is that our first desert road that we've had?
I think that's our first desert road. I worked with somebody that who previously worked out in Bahrain, and they'd done a couple of drives across the Wadi Rum. And you can't really go to Hertz and go off. You need a proper, and you can't just hire a 4x4. You've got to go with a guide. And best thing is just to go on a tour. And he's done a couple of tours of it, and he said it's fantastic. And Jordan is a very friendly country for Western folk, shall we say? So I think you can have a little drinky poos in Jordan, and it's quite nice. It's not Saudi Arabia levels of it's not a dry state. So you can go out into the Wadi Rum and enjoy the. I've been to this. I've lived in the Sahara for about 4 days in Morocco. That was very interesting. So if you've never been to a desert, go. Sounds fantastic. And from the heat, we've got an email from Thomas in Holland, and he had a wonderful drive last summer in Nova Scotia, Canada. So a lot colder. It's a route called the Cabot Trail, a highway and scenic roadway in North Victoria County and Inverness County on Cape Breton Island in Nova Scotia, Canada. The route measures 298 kilometres in length and completes a loop around the northern tip of the island, passing through the Cape Breton Highlands. It's named after the explorer John Cabot, who landed in Atlantic Canada in 1497, apparently. And it's been around. This road was built in 1932. Northern section of the Cabot Trail passes through Cape Breton Highlands National Park. Western and eastern sections follow a rugged coastline with views of the ocean. Sharp-eyed visitors have been known to spot whales or eagles, possibly not in the same place. There's no telling what spectacular sight one might be lucky enough to see, says Thomas. One of the first highlights of the Cabot Trail is Ingonish Beach, famed for its rugged headlands. It consists of 5 different communities around there. What makes Ingonish Beach remarkable is the fact you can jump from salt water at the beach to a freshwater lake in just a few steps. That's interesting. Make sure you pack your hiking boots or some comfortable shoes as you drive around so you can go on walking trails. Okay, that's cool. Thomas goes on to say, do not rely on your smartphone for a GPS. You're going to use a signal intermittently as you drive the Cabot Trail. So he recommends getting a GPS with your car rental and a map. He also advises don't go in the winter, go in the summer. In the winter, Nova Scotia gets cold. And we know cold in the UK, but we don't know minus 20 degrees Celsius.
Ouch.
Which rather him than me. So that's our driving roads this week. So
Fantastic.
It's Car-Boyz. You can get in touch with us. Outlook is probably the easiest thing to write to us at car-boys at outlook.com. Boys always with a Z. I think it's time to open up our bulging mailbag in the part of the show that we call the mailbag. They're very versatile, the band, aren't they?
They're available for weddings, parties,
bar mitzvahs, funerals. A lot of those at the moment. Okay, yes, it's time for the mailbag when you, the viewer now, as opposed to listener, as it was a few weeks ago, can contact us here on the show and ask us questions, and we will endeavour to answer them. Sometimes we answer them badly, sometimes we don't. But, you know, we'll just give you our opinion.
Yeah.
First off, we're going all the way up to Newcastle with Teresa. She emails the show. She's been thinking about replacing her 2001 Vauxhall Astra Club 1.6. It's had 2 owners, 95 on the clock. She has £3,000 in savings and wants to know what she'd get for a Vauxhall. Also, what she should replace it with. So first off, you're not going to be able to buy or sell anything at the moment. So I guess you do the same. Wait until everything's over. Carry on driving around your Vauxhall, which I hate to say is an absolute dog of a car. There it is. There's a picture of it.
Oh,
it is
awful car.
Proper. I don't know who designed that, but somebody, maybe it was I don't know, either Ray Charles or Stevie Wonder.
Someone who didn't care.
Someone that was Friday afternoon car, wasn't it? The hoods are open. Oh, really? Wheels, windows. Yep, black line. Sporty, that'll do. A car's worth maybe, it's a 19-year-old car. I'd give you 300 quid for that, and that would be generous. Now, so say she's got 3,000 plus the 300 quid she gets for this lovely thing. So 3.5 grand. I thought maybe a Corolla or a 10-year-old Honda Civic 4-door. We found a 1.8 litre VTEC with 50k on the clock, 1 owner. Just under 3.5 grand. If you want to stick with an Astra, I'm not a fan of Vauxhall, but if you want to stick with an Astra, you could get a 1.8 2-door drop head coupe. Oh, the one with the hard top, 4-seater, 2009, 30k on the clock for exactly her money, 3,300.
Okay. The good thing about the Astra class of car is there's so many to choose from. I looked earlier on. I saw a Focus 1 litre ZTEC EcoBoost 62 plate, 2012 with 60,000 miles. That was £2,750. So
no, that's all right. That's not.
You can pick and choose. Yeah,
it's a fair price. The one thing I would say about the Focus, from personal experience, is open up the bonnet. Get that bonnet open, because they made the bonnet catches out of plastic. They break. You actually open up the bonnet by inserting a key underneath the Ford logo and turning it. And it's all plastic. And after a while, the plastic gets hot and the mechanism corrodes. And then you have to pay somebody 150 quid to actually open up the bonnet when the thing's cracked, and then replace the piece of plastic. So I would really make sure that looks like it's in good condition if you're going to go for the Ford.
Teresa lives up in Newcastle, so I'm sure there might be someone that may be able to prize it open.
What are you trying to say about Newcastle, Simon?
Just a suggestion.
Just being honest, yeah.
Moving on. Meanwhile, Charlie from New Brunswick in NYC, Canada, says, loves the show. Thank you very much. Do you guys know anything about automatic transmissions? I want to know
Maybe.
when I should replace the fluid in mine. It's a 2006 Toyota Camry, nice, and it's done 210,000 miles
Ooh.
from new. So automatics. Know anything about automatics?
Yeah.
I know I don't like them.
I love an auto. I'm a big fan of an auto box. Right. Answer to this is, if he's never replaced that transmission fluid, he needs to do it now. Because most manufacturers will tell you the gearbox, automatic gearbox oil will last the life of the car, but they'll only warranty the car up to, 4 years or 60,000 miles. Yeah. But you've done more than that. This is a 14-year-old car that's done nearly 250,000 miles. Replacing a gearbox is going to cost you thousands. It's going to cost you less than $100 Canadian to replace the transmission and fluid. So every 60 to 100,000 miles, replace the transmission fluid and tell them to replace the filter. Not a lot will go wrong, but the thing is with an auto box is it's constantly moving and it needs the fluid to be clean to constantly move. Unlike the standard transmission, or as we call it in the UK, a manual. If you want to hang on to this car, go and spend £100. Next service, get him to replace the auto box fluid. My personal opinion. Otherwise, you're going to spend 2 or 3 times what the car's worth on rebuilding the gearbox. Meanwhile, another letter's come through. Lewis, or another letter. What am I saying? There's emails. Another letter came through. Let me open it. This one was I think this one came by a pigeon. Lewis, 88, says, hello from Brussels, bonjour. He's stuck inside during lockdown, but he's decided when the global pandemic is over, he's going to go out and buy a new sporty car for the weekend. Should he go for a 5-year-old Mustang with a big 5-litre engine? Oh, Lewis is really midlife crisis thing, isn't he? Or should he go for something more European, like a Maserati coupe? What do you think, Simon?
Personally, I would go for the Mustang. It's loud. It will annoy lots of Belgians there.
Oh, it will.
Go for the Mustang every day.
The Belgians, from what I remember, they've got a couple of Ford plants there anyway, so they're big fans. So you're in the right place to have a Ford. I think they've got a Ford plant in Belgium, so parts can be replaced on it. I had a look at prices. The other problem is they haven't made the Maserati coupe for 10 years, so you can't get a 5-year-old one. So it'll be a Gran Turismo. Now the Gran Turismos are 50 grand. The Ford Mustang is hard. So if you went for a 2015 Gran Turismo Maserati, it's going to cost you 50 grand. Ford is half the price, and that's saying something. Twice as reliable, twice as cheap to keep on the road. The Maserati would definitely be a better drive if somebody said, go round the Stelvio Pass, what would you like to drive? Screw the Ford Mustang. I'd drive them. I'd drive the Gran Turismo. It's going to be a much better car to drive. But if I was going to buy one and drive around Belgium, which hasn't really got any mountain roads, I'd buy the Mustang, not the Italian money pit. The Italian car is going to be badly made. Ford's build quality has improved substantially over the last 20 years. And the new Mustangs, I'm led to believe that the 2015 hasn't got the live rear axle either.
Yeah, absolutely right.
Independent rear suspension. So it's a better car.
Yeah, so we suggest go for muscle car rather than the Grand Tourer.
Yeah, you're going to pick up more. You're going to have more fun with that. Simon, you can do the last one. Sorry.
Okay, we've got Mikey in Manchester who has an issue with noise from his brakes. When he applies the brakes, it goes silent. And then, but when he doesn't, and he gets a high-pitched squeal, what's the issue? He drives a 2005 Ford Focus, and the car has been sat on the driveway for 2 months. He drove it last week for the first time. So I'm assuming because the handbrake's on, it's not been moving anywhere. Yeah. Similar problem to, was it adjusting brakes?
I think the brakes need adjustment. I don't think this is a serious issue. As long as it doesn't sound catastrophic when you're driving it, then I wouldn't drive it. I think probably is it drums or discs on that?
I think it's drums in the rear. Yeah.
So the handbrake's 2005. So the handbrake's going to be a manual handbrake, not an automatic one. So which is a cable. It's just stuck a little bit. Go down to the garage and just to get them to take a look at it. Especially if you don't really know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Just go when you get a chance. Garages are still open. I'm taking one of my cars in on Thursday. Garages are still open.
Ah. Yes. So, and of course, handbrakes are usually diagonally split. So sometimes you can also tell where it's coming from, if it's the rear or the front, when you take the handbrake off.
I would. Oh, that's interesting. Now, what I would say as well is, during lockdown, I don't know whether we've given out this advice, is keep your handbrake off. If you drive an auto, put it into park, keep your handbrake off. You've got to get out on the car at least once a week and got to get it for a relatively good drive to keep the battery topped up, unless you've got it parked in a garage, unless you've got it on a trickle charge. And if I'm having that conversation, you probably know more about cars than me. So take the handbrake off. If you're in a manual car or a standard transmission, take the handbrake off, put the car into first, which you should always do anyway. Or if you're parked on a hill, put it into reverse. I know they tell you we shouldn't really park on a hill and not engage the handbrake. That's a bit of a bad advice. But pretty much take the handbrake off, because the problem is that's going to cause all sorts of issues if you've left it there for 3 months.
Yeah, I think when we've had people writing to us before, that was the suggestion as well we've had, isn't it? Just leave the handbrake off.
Yes, so if you want to email the mailbag, it's rather light mailbag this week. I thought it was going to be another one. It's car-boys@outlook.com. We're on Facebook, car-boys with a Z, always with a Z, at Car-Boys, 4 Zs. Twitter, car-boys at car_boys with a Z. Shall we have a competition?
Yes.
Are you ready?
Let's have the quiz.
Hang on a second. I've got to get this music queued up. There we go. Shut up.
Welcome, one and all. It's time for this week's Car-Boyz quiz.
Fantastic.
This week, it's called Up on Jacks. So I did trail this to Rich during the week and said, this is what the quiz is going to be. It's going to be testing on car parts. So what we're going to do, we've got some car parts here on our high-tech bits of paper. And all you have to do is just tell me what the car parts are. These are mostly found under the bonnet, if not under the car.
What am I going to win? Because obviously last week we had the cruise, which I'm surprised. Are you on the cruise currently?
No, I am not in the cabin at all. No.
Okay. It's apparently going to be a great cruise.
I've delayed it.
Yeah, it's going to be. I don't think it's actually leaving Portsmouth. You just get to stay on a boat and eat lots of fried slop.
So this week, your prize, if you should win, is, I think it's Ainsley Harriott. Ainsley Harriott will just come round to your house.
Fantastic. He'll cook for me.
Cooking. Yes.
Excellent. Can he be quiet though? Because he's very annoying. He's a very annoying man. Red tomato, green pear. I don't know what he goes on about. Anyway, sorry.
I don't think he does either.
No.
Are you ready?
I'm ready. I'm excited.
Rich from Southwest London. Number one, what is this car park?
It's an oil filter and an air filter next to it.
Yeah. Well, actually, no. This is what new oil filters are like.
It's just an oil filter. Yeah. Oh, that's the inside. Yeah, I have fitted one of those. Yeah, that's an oil filter. Yeah.
They've gone back to those now. So you got that inside an oil filter. So
cool.
yeah, well done.
That's a good. Thank you.
We're starting off easy, by the way. You might not get the last.
Okay.
Penultimate.
I promise I won't use my mobile phone.
Okay. Yeah. Number two, what is this car part? This one particular one's come from Porsche.
Oh, it's very nice, and that's a set of brake calipers.
It is a brake caliper. Absolutely right.
Oh, it's one brake caliper. You'd need two, wouldn't you? It wouldn't be very good just with one. You'd spin round in a circle.
Exactly. That's not very good. Yeah. So that particular one is from Porsche. It's a Porsche brake caliper.
Or as we say here, Porsche.
So also pretty easy. I'm sure you had these. Okay. I'm sure you had a Bentley one of these at some time. What are these?
Oh, push rods.
Oh, incorrect. Those are actually valves.
Oh, sorry. Oh God, yeah, yeah. Sorry,
So they could be that way around, that way around, but occasionally they do
that
break
was
and
appalling.
go off.
Yes.
So your first mistake there. So
Yeah.
that
Damn.
was incorrect. Okay, number 1, 2, 3, 4. What is this particular part found under the bonnet of your car?
Okay, I'm going to say that's the alternator.
It is absolutely right. It is the alternator. Well done. Uh,
Fantastic. Hang
number
on.
5. This one might be tricky.
Yeah.
Because it might is an odd picture. So what is that?
Oh, camshaft.
It is a camshaft. Very
Thank
good. I thought
you.
that was a bit of a crap picture, but
No.
yes, it's a camshaft.
Well done. Yeah, thank you.
Right. So slightly. Let's move on. We're still under the hood of the car. What is
Okay.
this particular part?
That I believe. Now I'm going back to my days when I had a Daihatsu 4-track, and it had one of these on, and it didn't really make it go any faster. That's a turbo.
It is a turbo, or if you squint, it's an air raid siren. One or the other.
It is. You're right. Or a snail.
It is a turbocharger.
Fantastic.
Yes, a snail.
There you go,
There you
Mr. Snail. There's Mr. Snail. You see, I've been teaching kids all day, and I turn that into Mr. Snail. Hello, Mr. Snail.
Turbocharger, absolutely right. So again, there's a bit of a crap picture. I will take something that's pretty near to answer that. What is this part? Give you a clue. It's found at the front of your car.
It's not
Give you
gears.
another clue.
Yes.
The first 2 letters you might do to send in when you're applying for a job.
Oh, CV joint.
It is a CV
Hey,
joint. Yeah.
thank you.
Or a lightsaber, one or the
Or a
other.
lightsaber, yeah. It's a wand.
A mace.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, let's start. Let's get a bit more difficult. Under the car, what is that?
Oh, well, and I know why, because I had one. My old Honda Civic had a big crack down the middle of its one, and I went and got a patent part, not the Honda part, wanted 400 quid, which is the value of the car. That is a catalytic converter.
It is absolutely right. Catalytic converter. Bing. Absolutely right. So we had something that blows. This one
hello.
sucks.
Donald Trump. Oh, this one's that blow. This sucks.
No, one sucks, one blows. This one blows.
This blows.
I think it blows.
I don't know.
Am I getting wrong?
No, I'm giving up on
Yes,
that.
this one blows.
This one blows.
This is a supercharger.
Oh, yeah, of course, it's supercharger. My litany of car history includes a Fiat Panda and a Honda Civic.
And one of those was sticking out the bonnet of the Fiat Panda. Sure.
Definitely, I had that on the 955cc fire engine. Have you supercharged it? Yeah. It does 0 to 60 now in 12 seconds as opposed to 14.
There you go. So
Supercharger, nice. Okay.
Okay, so getting slightly harder. This one. What clues can I give you? There's a little butterfly.
Oh, it's a dump valve, isn't it? Is it a header?
Nearly. It's 2 words. When you press the accelerator, it's attached to it.
There's just the thing that makes the fuel go in. Yeah. And the air. I don't know. Head?
It is the air. It is the throttle body.
Throttle body. Okay, all right.
I thought you'd have got that one.
No,
yes,
sorry.
Little butterfly things open up.
Yeah, I knew. Isn't a dump valve the same thing? No.
It attaches after.
Do that. Oh, okay. All right. Fair enough.
So I've lost count what these are.
You threw me off showing me a supercharger.
I'll give you a clue. This is not a roof rack.
I'm going to say, I've got one of those in my bathroom and I put a towel over it. What? Is it a strut?
I'll give you that. It's an anti-roll bar.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
That's
Okay, anti-roll bar.
Anti-roll bar, absolutely right. What is this?
Radiator. Oh no, is it not?
I'll give you another go. It's not a radiator.
Oh, it's an air keg. It's one went in my last car, and it was so expensive.
We've lost your audio.
Have you? How about now? Okay, one went in my last car.
Hello.
It's the condenser for the air conditioning. Condenser?
Yeah, it's an intercooler.
Oh, intercooler. Okay, come on.
Okay, we've got 3 more to go. What is this? Your escort probably had problems with this at one point.
Hang on. No.
It's not a satellite.
It's not a bulb. Ignition. It's not an ignition module. No.
No.
Go on.
That answer is incorrect. It is actually a thermostat.
Oh, I can't remember. I had lots of problems with my escort.
Okay, penultimate one. You may
Go on.
not get this one. What is that? Usually you're black. This one's red. You'll find this towards probably the middle and rear of your car.
Middle and rear.
They're made of rubber.
Is it a bush?
A red bush. I do like a red bush.
Yeah, no.
It's an exhaust hanger.
Oh, is it? I thought they're rubber.
They are. That's what I said. They're rubber. That's rubber.
Is that rubber? I thought that looks hard plastic. Okay.
It's red rubber. So I'll give you half a point.
All right, thank you.
And last but not least, what is this? Now you can have one of two answers of this.
Yes.
Anywhere near that would.
It's on the front by the wheel.
Yeah.
Can I have a clue?
You've got two of them. One on the side of your body.
No. I got two. Elbow.
Arm. It's attached to what part of the car?
The wheel.
Yes, so it's part of the.
I think we're finding out how mechanically inept I am on this part of the show. No, I don't know. Go on.
It's the suspension arm.
Suspension arm, of course.
Or I would have also accepted lower wishbone as well.
Well, as you can see from the cleanliness of my hands, I do very, very little to my car these days.
And on the plus side, you got the majority of them right.
Hey!
So therefore, you get Ainsley Harriott for your house.
I can hardly wait. He might like the jazz guys that play on the show as well, so they can sort of all hang out together. Yes. He certainly is jazz hands. That's about it. Thank you very much for tuning into the show. Please get in touch with us. We are. I'm trying to open up. I'm having so much fun here. Hang on, stand by. Yes, we are taking your letters. We're loving your letters that you're sending us. Please keep in touch. My daughter keeps telling me to tell you to subscribe to the channel. I'm not telling people enough. Make sure you subscribe to the channel on YouTube and you get regular updates.
Ring that bell.
Ring that bell. And we haven't got any t-shirts yet at all. We need to get some merch, as they say in the business, made. Email the Car-Boyz at car-boys with a Z at outlook.com. It's always car-boys with a Z, always with a Z, at outlook.com. We will endeavour to answer your questions, car-related or not. Facebook, we're car-boys at Car-Boyz, all the Zs at the end. Car-Boys at Car-Boyz, all the Zs at the end. Twitter, car-boys at car_boys with a Z. And I believe we are at Instagram.
car_boys with 3 Zs.
That's it from us. Thank you for tuning in. See you next time. Say goodbye, Simon.
Goodbye, Simon.
Hey.